Renaults, Chars, Somua, and more. From the battlefields of France to the deserts of North Africa, French armor rolled into combat under flags both Allied and Axis. Captured, commandeered, and conscripted into service across 5 continents. Here's every French tank used in World War II. Light reconnaissance tanks. Let's begin with France's light cavalry machines. Renault FT-17, the Great War veteran. This revolutionary 1917 design featured the world's first rotating turret. Obsolete by 1940, yet still pressed into service by France, Poland, and even Finland. Its 37mm Puto gun couldn't penetrate modern armor, but desperation kept hundreds rolling. The Red Army captured dozens and used them for training exercises. Renault R35, the infantry support workhorse. Over 1,600 built before France fell, making it the most numerous French tank, armed with a short 37mm SA-18 gun and 45mm of frontal armor, painfully slow at just 12 miles per hour. Germany redesignated captured units as Panzerkampfwagen 35R and deployed them across occupied territories. Renault R40, the improved R35 variant, featured an upgraded 37mm SA-38 gun with better penetration, only 130 built before the armistice. Most saw German service as the Panzerkampfwagen 40R. Italian forces also received several dozen for operations in Yugoslavia. Its cast turret offered better protection than welded designs. WWII, its H-35, the cavalry tank that couldn't keep up. Designed for mounted reconnaissance units but limited to 17 miles per hour. Armed with the same 37mm SA-18 as the R-35. Its cast hull provided excellent protection for its weight class. Germany converted hundreds into self-propelled guns and Marder tank destroyers. WWII SH-39, the upgraded cavalry model, boosted the H-35's engine from 75 to 120 horsepower, mounted the superior 37mm SA-38 gun, around 1,000 produced before France capitulated. Germany deployed them extensively in Yugoslavia and the Soviet Union. Some served with Vichy forces in Syria, facing British and Free French troops. Medium battle tanks. Moving on to France's primary combat vehicles, Somua S35, the cavalry's masterpiece, arguably the best Allied tank of 1940, combining speed, armor, and firepower. Its 47mm SA-35 gun could penetrate German armor at combat ranges. 55mm of cast armor on the hull, reached 25 miles per hour on roads. Germany captured around 300 and designated them Panzerkampfwagen 35S, serving until 1944. Char B1, the breakthrough behemoth. This 32-ton monster mounted 2 guns, a turret 47mm and a hull 75mm howitzer. Its 60mm of frontal armor made it nearly impervious to German anti-tank guns in 1940. One famous example took 140 direct hits during the Battle of Stonning, but remained operational. Germany seized 161 units as Panzerkampfwagen B2. Char B1, this the upgraded breakthrough tank, enhanced armor reaching 60mm all around, improved engine, and better transmission. 369 built before the armistice, representing France's finest armor. Germany loved these captures, deploying them in France, Yugoslavia, and Russia. Some were converted into flamethrower tanks and self-propelled guns. Char D1, the interwar support tank, developed in the 1930s as an infantry escort vehicle, mounted the 47mm SA-34 gun in a cast turret, 160 built with moderate armor and poor mobility. Germany captured most surviving units and used them for training purposes. A handful served with Vichy forces before being demobilized. Char D2, the heavily armored support tank, an upgraded D1 with increased armor reaching 40mm, armed with the powerful 47mm SA-35 gun. Only 100 produced due to high costs and manufacturing complexity, weighted 20 tons but could barely manage 14 miles per hour. German forces used survivors as static pillboxes along the Atlantic Wall. German captured and converted tanks. Next on the list are tanks under German control. Panzerkampfwagen 35R, R35, Germany's designation for captured Renault R35S. Wehrmacht used hundreds for occupation duties across Europe. Many were stationed in Norway, Denmark, and the Channel Islands. Their 37mm guns proved adequate for anti-partisan operations. Some were converted into Marder tank destroyers with 75mm guns, Panzerkampfwagen 38, H-39, the German designation for captured Hotchkiss H-39 tanks. Over 500 served in Wehrmacht colors throughout the war. Many were deployed to Yugoslavia to fight partisans. Some received upgraded radios and German cupolas. They fought on the Eastern Front until replaced by German designs. Panzerkampfwagen B2 740F, flamethrower variant, the terrifying flame conversion of the Char B1. Germans replaced the 75mm hull gun with a flame projector. These monsters saw action in the Warsaw Uprising of 1944. Their thick armor allowed them to approach fortifications safely. Approximately 60 B1 tanks were converted into flamethrower variants. Marder tank destroyer, Germany's most successful French conversion, built on Lorraine 37L tractor chassis with a 75mm PaK 40 gun. 170 units built and deployed primarily on the Eastern Front. Their powerful gun could destroy any Soviet tank at combat ranges. Poor armor made them vulnerable, but they served effectively until 1944. 10.5 centimeters, LeFH-18 AOF-B2, self-propelled howitzers built on captured Char B1 hulls. The turret was removed and replaced with a 105mm howitzer. Around 16 units were converted for artillery support roles. Their heavy armor made them unusually survivable for artillery vehicles. They served in France and were lost during the 1944 liberation. Vichy French forces. Let's cover tanks under the collaborationist government. Vichy R35, North Africa. Hundreds of R35s defended Vichy territories in Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. When Operation Torch began in November 1942, these tanks engaged American forces. After brief but fierce fighting, many switched sides to join Free French ranks. They later fought against Germany in Tunisia and Italy. Vichy Somua S35, Syria. Vichy forces in Syria operated Somua S35s during the 1941 campaign. These superior tanks fought against British and Free French invasion forces. The Syria-Lebanon campaign saw French tanks fighting on both sides. After Vichy defeat, surviving S-35s joined Free French forces in the Middle East. Vichy Char B1, Mine Metropolitan France Limited Char B1. Units remained in unoccupied France until 1942. Germany permitted small armored forces for internal security purposes. When Germany occupied all of France in November 1942, these tanks were seized. Most were incorporated into German defensive positions along the Atlantic Wall. Vichy H-39, Indochina. French tanks in Indochina faced Japanese pressure from 1940 onward. H-39s and R-35s defended colonial territories until Japan's 1945 seizure. When Japan attacked in March 1945, French armor fought briefly before being overwhelmed. Many captured tanks later served with Vietnamese forces after the war. Vichy D2 North African Garrison. Char D2 tanks equipped Vichy armored units in Tunisia and Algeria. Their 47mm guns remained effective against early war Allied tanks. During Operation Torch, several D2s engaged American Shermans with limited success. After the armistice, survivors were absorbed into Free French formations, Axis allies and puppet states. Next are French tanks serving other Axis nations. Italian R-35, Yugoslav operations. Italy received hundreds of captured R-35s from Germany. These equipped Italian armored units fighting partisans in Yugoslavia and Albania. When Italy switched sides in 1943, some fought against former German allies. The co-belligerent Italian army used French tanks until replaced by Allied equipment. Romanian R-35s, Ines Eastern Front. Romania purchased R-35s before the war and operated them during Barbarossa. When Romania joined the Axis, these tanks fought alongside German units. They proved inadequate against Soviet T-34s and KV-1s. Most were lost during the advance into Ukraine and southern Russia. Bulgarian H-39, occupation duties. Bulgaria acquired Hotchkiss H-39 tanks from German stocks. These served primarily for internal security and occupation duties. Bulgaria used them against partisan resistance in Macedonia and Thrace. When Bulgaria switched sides in 1944, some tanks briefly fought against Germany. Croatian R-35 Civil War. The independent state of Croatia received R-35 tanks from Germany. These equipped Croatian armored units fighting Yugoslav partisans. They participated in brutal anti-partisan operations throughout the Balkans. Most were destroyed or captured by Tito's forces by 1944. Hungarian H-39s, anti-partisan operations. Hungary received small numbers of Hotchkiss H-39 tanks. These served alongside Hungarian armor on the Eastern Front. They proved hopelessly outclassed by Soviet armor. Most were relegated to rear area security and anti-partisan duties in occupied territories. Free French and Liberation Forces. Finally, we cover tanks with the Liberation Armies. Free French R-35 Syria. Campaign. After defeating Vichy forces in Syria, Free French units incorporated captured R-35s. These served briefly with fighting France until British equipment arrived. They participated in operations against Vichy holdouts in Lebanon. By 1942, most were replaced by Allied-supplied armor. Free French H-39 North African Campaign. Operation Torch brought hundreds of Vichy tanks into Free French service. H-39s joined Free French armored units in Tunisia. They fought against German and Italian forces during the final North African battles. These tanks were phased out as American Shermans arrived in 1943. Free French Somua S35, 1st Armored Division. The 1st Armored Division incorporated captured Somua S35s after Torch. These excellent tanks served through the Tunisian campaign. Their 47mm guns remained effective against German Panzers. By the Italian campaign, they were replaced by American armor for logistical simplicity. Free French B1, bis minus symbolic service. A handful of Char B1 bis tanks served with Free French forces. These were prized as symbols of French military heritage. Most were too damaged or mechanically unreliable for combat operations. One was famously displayed during victory parades after liberation. 2nd Armored Division. Leclerc's force, General Leclerc's famous division, began with mixed French equipment. Early formations included R-35s and H-39s from North African stocks. By D-Day, the division was fully equipped with American Shermans. The liberation of Paris saw only Allied tanks rolling through the streets. From the innovative Somua to the obsolete FT-17, French armor served masters they were never designed for. 30 tanks, 6 nations, 1 brutal war.